Hi there, I'm Dani Henderson. Welcome back to my channel. Even though it's bloody boring Valentine's Day, which I just realized a second ago, dolly no dates, and I don't care because I've got my own date right here. And his name is George H. Lewis, and he is our resident astrologer. Hello, my love, how are you?
Danny, I'm really well. And, it's kind of ironic that we're sitting here on February the 14th. I've always said about St. Valentine, he was not a saint and he was a jolly poor lover.
Jolly poor lover. Absolutely. Funny, isn't it, what we build up over the years, and we don't even know where the legends came from. Speaking of legends,
Hallmark,
George, Hallmark.
Hallmark holiday.
Yeah, for definite. Well, George, you are a delight. You're so loved on this channel. We love having you back every month to discuss and disclose and just give us a entertaining theory, of which you have many, on culture, history, and of course, astrology and the importance of it. So we'd love you to explain what is going on right now. And I know you're going to get into some of the Pluto Aquarius stuff. So George, do help us out, my love, astrologically. Friggin' hell's going on, lovely.
Well, right now, obviously, the sun is 25 degrees Aquarius because it's the 14th of February. But it's not just that. We've got Pluto in Aquarius. We've got Mercury in Aquarius. We've got now Mars that's conjoined Pluto. And Venus is catching up fast. In a few days, she will be conjoined Mars and Pluto as well. This is a lot of energy in the Uranian field. Uranus in the ancient world is ruled by Saturn. I mean, I find it very curious that all the revelations, so much stuff actually is coming out about, say, the British royal family. And, King Charles has got prostate cancer. Princess Kate has been inside hospital. We now learned that Fergie has got cancer. To me, I read symbols, and I think we're all learning to read symbols, to be honest with you. And this is, Britain is a Capricorn country. And there is these big transits moving through Aquarius, moving through belief systems. The last time Pluto was in Aquarius was the French Revolution and the Reign of Terror. The time before that, it was Copernicus and his heliocentric concept of the world. And then at one point, it was the Great Fire of Rome. It was also the Jewish Revolt in 66 Common Era. I mean, I could give you a list of different times when Pluto goes into Aquarius. There is such a shift in belief systems. And this is where I think it's so important for all of us. We're on this track, this fast track towards consciousness, trying to understand ourselves better, trying to understand our ontology, our understanding of who we are as human beings. And that is really shifting out of fixed belief systems. You see, at the end of a day, Aquarius is fixed belief systems. So when it's not in the highest conscious expression, it's dogmatic. It's stuck in an old Saturnian antiquated system where instead we use this Mars energy today, fire, power, passion, to uncover, to disclose, to evolve, to manifest, to create. And so that's why I love astrology. It's a tool through which we can co-create together and ascend to warmer climes like here in Florida.
That's wonderful. Beautifully put. Thank you for sharing that. There's a lady that I look at her work at times. She's just astonishing. I think she's South African and she has very short hair, and her name is Kerry with a Kerry K. And she takes people into light meditation, like inside a light chamber. And some of the people's spontaneous well-being have been just so profound, and she's really passionate, and I really like her a lot. And yesterday my friend Sheila sent me something that Kerry K did on Instagram, where she was talking about reptilians being obviously largely royal lineage, and now because the earth herself has shifted and is ascending, the dark heaviness is no longer able to sustain shape or form, because density is rising. Therefore, the shape-shifting reptilians, let's say, who have been here, it's just without question, now can no longer be seen in public because they're not able to hold form or shape. Those that are open-minded will be able to accept that. Those who are closed-minded at this time of disclosure and ascension will simply mock and poo-poo and tee-hee and bye-bye there. Mwah. So let us continue. We've got so much to go through today. We want to share the things that you and I are both doing. And really, when you mention Aquarius, this week in particular, three of my very good friends and ours collectively, globally, all had birthdays. It was Tony Woodriggs, it was Melanie Charret, and it was Karina Pataki, and myself, Dani Henderson. And those three people I mentioned are so unbelievably prolific in the work they do. Now, Tony Rodriguez was kidnapped at 10 years old by a satanic man who had Tony kidnapped and put into a military program and sold him into the military once he'd used him up as a sex slave. And he was only 10. And Tony Rodriguez has survived physically his traumas and written books and talks the truth into the field of reality. He's so prolific, he's so profound. I could never speak enough about how much I love and admire Tony Rodriguez. And then you have Melanie Charret. Melanie Charret was also kidnapped and went through a very similar program. And these two both spoke last year at the Galactic Spiritual Informers Connection, which is the single best disclosure conference on the planet. And I can prove that even more in a minute. So Melanie Charret, not only was she put into a vile, cruel, evil child sex slave program run by the military in France, that she also now is physically in rescue missions of children, literal off-planet rescue missions. How profound is that? And then Karina Pataki, the little Romanian girl whose family barely escaped communist Romania, whose story of how this little girl was hunted down by wolf dogs as her family tried to escape over the border, and the wolf dogs who were starved and beaten, and if they caught someone, they ripped them to shreds. That's how they kept the Romanian people in check. Well, the dogs didn't touch her. And her story was so profound that it's gone down in history as one of the most remarkable escapees into America ever. And last year, Karina Pataki stood on the Gsic stage, Galactic Spiritual Informers, and she took the Bible apart in the right way, in the respectful way. And she highlighted the evil that's in there, the Enlil, the Lucifer, the Saturnian black cubes. It takes a lot of courage for a woman like her to stand. And this week, it was all of our birthdays. So I'm going to be doing a broadcast with my three friends there, my three very prolific friends, as I have many. You're included in prolific friends for definite. I feel so blessed that I attract such powerhouses that people are really trusting as well. But let me ask you, knowing so much about the star sign Aquarius, which is obviously getting a real pump and a jump and a push right now, what would you say? Yeah, what would you say about those three people and the energy and the Aquarius and what affects them? How are they all so prolific?
Well, I mean, Aquarius does have this galactic side to it. And this is where Aquarius energy is actually very complex, because in the ancient way, it's ruled by Saturn, but in the modern, it's Uranus. And those two are very competing archetypes. Saturn castrates Uranus in the myth, and Saturn's all about control and also grounded foundations from which to, launch something if it's used positively. But Uranus is unfettered freedom and sort of radical localization. And those two archetypes are in competition. How I look at Aquarius, and especially those three people, it's the what's on the outside bringing it into the mainstream. And I think, whether it's your galactic conference and just the where we are at in our civilization with consciousness, we are really unraveling his history. And we are at this tipping point, and some are still in fear. Saturn rules Aquarius and ruled Capricorn, which we were in for 20 years beforehand. Some still think more lockdowns and for more face nappies are going to be appropriate. But basically, most people now are beginning to shift and see and question the narrative. And this is part of the awakening. This Leviathan is dying. And this head of Medusa is finally being severed from its very corrupt and decadent body. It is, in a way, the Uranian energy of Aquarius is the phoenix rising in some ways. And it's from those ashes that we, create the new age. I mean, I think of Bringers of the Dawn by Barbara Marcinek, Masternak. And, that's an old book now, but it's so relevant. So many people have come as star seeds to help with this planetary ascension, to move it into greater light, where that dense, perverse, corrupt, satanic Saturn, low frequency Saturn way of existence cannot operate on this planet eventually. And I think we are majorly cleaning up. And the Aquarian age this time round is the age of Aquarius. You see, in the previous Pluto cycles, Dani, it wasn't possible to get there. We had the French Revolution, but what happened? We got rid of the monarchy and we had the Reign of Terror. And that was arguably worse than the monarchy that it replaced. Now, of course, we're learning a lot about Tartaria and the imperial family of the Tsars, and who knows, I'm like a kid here. I'm trying to figure it out myself. But what replaced the Tsars was very, very dark communism. And we're learning this about aspects of the Bible. We're learning, who is the L, anything with L at the end, that we're beginning to question this. And it's very intense for people, especially people from the Judaic Christian background who have a very fixed, and Islam, all three branches. And this is what Pluto and Aquarius behooves us to really do. And this is where it takes light and deep breath work, deep inner work of questioning that, of just being able to be open to the fact that we haven't been told the truth. And we're beginning to realize that we perhaps were conned. But here's the excitement, is when we start to go on that journey, we begin to heal, we profoundly begin to heal. And eventually, this is the Uranian principle, we push through towards radical localization where the governments unravel, and no longer do we have these big federal top-down structures. Think queen with handbag, top of the pile. It collapses, and we the people, able to co-create a civilization that reflects family, children, integration, love, consciousness. And there's a real feedback between those who do the governing and those who are governed. And really, there's a constant loop. And you go in to serve, you go back to the homestead. That was the whole point of the First Republic. That was the whole point of 1776 initially, that you went to serve and then you went back to the farm. And we went a long way. We gave power away to Saturn. We gave power away to the external, and we have to put it back to ourselves. So this is what the age of Aquarius is about, the individual being venerated within the collective.
That's so beautiful. Now, you mentioned the Tsars, the Russian royal family. And a lot of us, we're very drawn to certain aspects of history, what we're told is history. I was always incredibly drawn to the Tsar, the Tsarina, and the little boy Nikolai, the hemophiliac, who, again, there's always these stories, legendary stories, where there's a spiritual aspect that comes in. And then as time is diluted by people misspeaking, mistalking, trying to change. So we go over here and we ignore this. So I was very fascinated by Rasputin, who also, I believe he was Serbian, from Serbia. Let me think. Okay, don't quote me on that. I also read a book that his daughter wrote, apparently. But anyway, back to Rasputin. So he was able to put the little boy Nikolai into a trance-like state, which literally slowed the bleeding down in the little boy's body, because hemophiliacs, as we know back in the day, would invariably die. And the Tsar and the Tsarina really believed and felt just such an empathetic and loving connection and desperate connection with Rasputin. And the story goes he was stabbed and strangled and poisoned and shot all in one night, and was kind of the unkillable, effable hero, or dark legend, whatever you want to call it. But those times, again, are definitely stepping back, coming back. And I know in St. Petersburg, Russia, which used to be called Leningrad after Lenin, the bad dark one, who, we care not for, like Hitler, Lenin, Stalin, Hitler, those tosspots. We still have, in this day and age, you got your clown Schwab, you got your Bill Gates, you got your Dr. Fauci. Those, to me, are the Stalin, this. And if anyone's offended, I don't care. Then this channel's not for you, baby cakes, because we're going to talk about religion in a minute as well. And if you are plugged into a religion, you're going to get really triggered. So, love you, mean it. So moving on, because we've got to have these conversations, as you know. We can't be cowering anymore. We can't be worried about who likes us, who doesn't dislike us, because what are we even bothering speaking out and having platforms? Why are we even bringing these subjects to bear, to go through, to look at? Why are you and I, as people who've traveled the world and whatever, had all the experiences that we've had, why are we even friends? Why are we coming together, sharing hearts, sharing love? Because we love humanity, right?
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, it's a really intense time to question the belief systems. But let's talk about freedom. I mean, when we are able to question the belief systems with integrity, by the way, with reverence and integrity, and there's no sense of going into it to prove something. For me, I speak for myself, I go in to learn. Curiosity is a key component here. And I'm always adapting my perspective, my views, as I gain more knowledge, as I listen to people like you or Elena or Alex Collier, and David Icke. It doesn't matter from whom I'm taking information. And then I'm sorting it in myself, I'm feeling it, and I'm doing my own research a lot of the time. And that's the freedom in being able to choose, rather than the program of going to, in my case, an English boarding school and being told how to think, what to write, and what to share. And so for me, it's really about freedom. And so I honor all of us to journey in that sense in this Aquarian age, to find your truth, because together with your bit, Tom's bit, Ethel's bit, my bit, Danny's bit, there is a civilization that's golden.
That is so beautifully put, because again, bringing everybody else in, like everybody is welcome and deserves and has the right to have a thought, have a thinking. And I was telling you, I'm putting this beautiful tour of British churches and architecture together in the south of England in April. There's still some spaces left, guys. You're welcome to email me. You get your own flight. I've got a discount on a hotel in the main town on the seafront in England, and there will be a small fee for the tour. But so I was looking again at different churches to include. It's so hard to choose. There are so many beautiful ones, and I walk in to this Catholic church, Our Lady of Ransom, and they're just getting done with mass. So, it was so beautiful in there, and it was the first church I've seen in a while. They reminded me the most of the churches I've seen in northern Italy. So I went from France, from Provence over the Pyrenees Mountains into Italy 1 year, and got to just explore a lot of the northern churches, and looking at the way that sometimes they would chop a finger off and wrap it in silver and give it to the church as a offering to save the life of a child. Or in some of those churches you see a nun, a mummified nun, and this church today that I will include on the British tour was the most akin has some of the reliefs that I've seen in northern Italy, and I got very excited. And I was coming in out of the rain. I'm wearing my brother English green, army green little wax hat and my wax jacket, and because that's how we do it here in Britain in the peeing rain. And this lady walked up to me, and she just had the cross smudged, on her third eye, blocking her third eye. And there's lots of other people there, and I'm very gently walking around, and I decide, Danny, you got to come back and film, because it's just not right to film when there's people at the end of their private, beingness with God. And this lady came over, and she went like that, just like that, like a big old British bird. And she went, are you used to this church? And I looked at her ample bosom and the hat on her head, and I said, no, madam, I'm not. It's my first time, but isn't it just beautiful? And she went, oh, yes, it's beautiful. I'm here all the time, and I don't really notice. I'm like, are you serious, lady? I'm like, it is absolutely knockout. It's stunning. I'm so excited. She went, yes. And I went, listen, before you go there, I said, I've got my own personal relationship with Jesus. She went, oh, we all do. And her ample bust is heaving, the proper British woman with the old polo neck, woolly jumper on, that's probably done 3 generations of her family, and patched up here and patched up there, and underneath her skirt there's a sausage dog, the type. And she says, but have you? I went, let me stop you there. I said, I don't follow religion at all. I said, been there, done that. I said, but I have a real appreciation for the beauty and the architecture of these ancient buildings. And she went, yes, but I'm like, oh my God, am I going to have to get you in a headlock in front of all these people? You are not going to save my soul. My soul is intact in my heart, boo. Anyway, in the end, she finally looked at me. And at this point, she's now shaking, you know, and I'm feeling sorry for her, you know, because she's probably got audience watching her. She's obviously some kind of a voice in this church. And anyway, in the end, she said, yes, but there's only one God. There's only one God, and we must all find him. And I said, well, you have a lovely day. And she popped off, probably had a heart attack, full of rage around the corner. But, you know, I mean, you know, this is the thinking of the minute with some people you touch on religion, their religion, that they will, you know, they say about the radical Muslims and Islam being extreme. You know, you see it everywhere. Christians, Catholics, Anglicans, all of them. There isn't one. I haven't seen one. I haven't seen one. How about you? What do you think about that? That kind of internal rage.
I think, you know, for me, it's really about stepping into the archetype of the witness. I think when we can really witness it and love, I mean, Alex Collier always says you love them at a distance, but genuinely, and that's not flippant. It's you observe, you remain witness, and you remain curious at the same time. You're free then to evolve your whole essence towards a greater potential of manifestation. You know, a huge change in our own self-perception. This is what, certainly with Mars and Mercury conjunct Pluto in Aquarius, we haven't had that for a long, long time, when they all come together in Aquarius with Pluto. Humans are, as you say, they're defined by what they believe in and what they believe themselves to be. And this is the unraveling of it. This is the educational system which has prevented us hitherto for delving into this area. It doesn't matter whether we're at a state school, public school, private school, no school really. I mean, even, okay, no school is ultimately probably the best because it's less programming. But of course, it doesn't allow you to succeed in the matrix system. So the programming has been deliberately construed to limit us, and we are experiencing a massive disclosure in all areas. So it's very unsettling. And that's where, for me, I delve into the art, and then I delve into the, well, the astrology, but the sound therapy, the healing and the retreats as a way to create that ample bosom, if you like, for society, you know, for us to, you know, to have that nurturing sense of community. You know, the bosom represents home, doesn't it? It represents trust. And, you know, that trust is going. So we have to find each other. We have to find our soul families. So for me, the excitement is in the creative process. And you stay witness and you look at that woman, whoever it is, you know, any zealous person with a view, and they're defining, they're categorizing, they're limiting, they're being Saturnian because that's their program. And you love them at a distance because what's going to happen is they're going to run out of steam. The more they push into that density of the three dimension, of the three density, they're going to be more part of, unfortunately, the harvest. They're going to be more part of, they're not going to evolve. So I encourage everyone, and like I'm encouraging myself, to let's get on the train together. Let's start to be curious. Let's unravel it together without ego, or use the ego for curiosity, to probe, to inquire, to be curious.
I love that. I love that so much. Now, I want to come to some of the work that you're doing in a moment. Before I do that, I'm going to share some of the other beautiful people on the train with us. And when I say with us, I am speaking to you, the viewer, you, the seeker, the spiritual seeker, you on your own individual journey. And no matter what mental program that you've been indoctrinated into or introduced to or forced into or whatever, this is the time to alchemize everything in the body that doesn't work, that doesn't fit, that doesn't suit self, because we are allowed to suit self. We were just told we couldn't. How selfish. Give your life up, but give your heart to Jesus. Why would you give your heart to something? That's your heart. What's inside your heart? It's your soul. I think it's more trickery. you know, more bad verbals that trick us into feeling we have to give it a part of ourselves away in order to be able to live. Well, that's doing a deal with the devil, isn't it? How offensive. It's not meant to be offensive. It's meant to make us think. You know, in the day, we never would have dared to say the words I just said, ever, for fear of being stoned alive, and things happen like that. That's how they did it. You know, there's all this attack on Enlil and Enki, and I'm seeing two stories this week where two people are really pushing Enlil, and they're saying Enki is Lucifer. No, you know, and I could defend, you know, Enki is the complete opposite. He is the good one. He is the Prince of Peace. He is the one bringing the love. There's so much evidence to that. But then I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter what I say. People will come to their own alchemization of what they feel is true, what they resonate with, where their soul consciousness goes. You know, so it's pointless, actually, I think, sharing more of these stories in that way. But what I do want to do is honor some of the people on our journey with us. And so the people will come to know they're going to be on my channel coming up. And then we're going to come to your work and your tour of Bosnia and the pyramids. So hold tight, guys. So we have got coming on this channel very soon, Tony Rodriguez, Karina Pataki, Melanie Chalet, as I mentioned earlier, the Aquarians. We have Dan Winter coming out. I do love to play with Dan Winter. You just never know what he's going to choose to share next, but it is always profound and another layer and level of thinking and getting to information through his physicist mind, you know, and his beautiful slides and his sacred geometry. We are bringing on very soon Dan Willis and Elena Danan. And what I'm doing with them is I want them to repeat their presentations from the first and second year of Gsic, the Galactic Spiritual Informer's greatest disclosure event on the planet. So Dan Willis brought us Frill Energy, which is the way to create free energy, real energy that we can use as a free source using crystals. And he's going to replicate that for us on my channel. And then Elena Danan bringing her schematics on how to build a spacecraft. She don't need NASA. She don't need Mars. She gets it straight from upstairs. So we're going to let her reveal that for all you guys again. Then we've got the great, the one and only Nikki Allen. Everyone loves her. She makes everyone laugh and giggle. Great angel connector, beautiful clairvoyant British medium. She and I are going to be doing several things together, including a television show this year in Great Britain and the British
I love
Isles.
that girl so much. You introduced me to her at the Galactic, and we've remained very, very firm friends.
Yeah, she's everything. She's everything. She left me a 6.5-minute message the other day. And I had to keep going back and playing it because I couldn't stop laughing. I just couldn't stop laughing. I thought I swore like a sailor too, by the way. Look, my sister from another mister swears more than I do. I love it. Okay, so Nikki Allen's coming up. We got Brooks Agnew. I find him really quite fascinating. I met him 3 years ago or so in Mount Shasta. I was hanging out with him and Laura Eisenhower. And Brooks was on stage presenting an idea of his to raise funds and go to inner earth via the ocean. And I want to bring that into the forum on my channel to support him in this need to do an expedition. Because the more expeditions that we do, like with Brad Olson going back to Antarctica, you know, it is going to bring into the fray again attention and energy and more revelations for us humanity that we deserve and we demand. Then I also have oh my God, Dr. Rainer Fulmich. Dr. Rainer Fulmich or Fulmich is a beautiful doctor, a legal doctor. He took on Volkswagen and won. He took on Deutsche Bank and he won. He is my friend. He is your friend, George. He is Dr. Christian's friend. He's been kidnapped and he is in a German prison, guys. He has been kidnapped. He was kidnapped in Mexico at the German embassy, taken to Munich and arrested on charges of fraud, all fake, because he is the one with the greatest balls and the one lawyer that stood against these great, you know, monstrous companies and won. And his international crimes against COVID, he's known for that. And he found a loophole and they've arrested him. And I'll be doing a separate broadcast on him, showing more and giving you all the address of the prison, how you can get in touch with him. So that's coming up too. But now, George, my darling, let's get back to you. I want you to tell us about your courses that you're going to be teaching online and the astrology course that you're going to be teaching, and then take us to highlights of the Bosnian trip that we're also doing a separate broadcast on. So guys, there's another broadcast coming up on the Bosnian pyramids and how you can go there. But for now, George, the floor is yours, my love.
So yes, thank you for bringing up the astrology. It's very fun because I mean I've obviously taught astrology for a decade now, and I've done classes online before the pandemic. But this is a new class. I've really created an amazing deck of visual slides, and it's just going to be a really fun romp through the planets, the zodiac, the mythology. I want to make it sexy and fun, but also didactic and informative, and obviously it can be recorded, so people, you know, if you want to join the live, when I'm gonna start it around my birthday, the 25th of March. You know, I always find for me, I'm always best in the Pisces Aries season. That's where most of my planets are, and so I'm going to launch it probably in the Aries season, just after the vernal equinox. And that's the intention, and to teach that online for probably 5 or 6 weeks, once a week. So anyone interested, I can send them information. And then the other thing you mentioned, which is really exciting, for many years I've longed to go to the Bosnian pyramids. Until 3 or 4 years ago, I didn't even realize there were any pyramids in Bosnia, like most of us. I just thought there were ones in Giza, Egypt were the ones. And the Sun Pyramid in Bosnia is actually larger than the largest one in Egypt. And of course, if you go on Wikipedia, it will say it's just a mountain shaped like a pyramid, you know, as they say. But I'm excited to go. Dr. Sam is going to be there. I've got a wonderful local Bosnian Croatian friend who you'll be interviewing in another broadcast with me. And we're doing a little tour there. We're taking a small group, and I'll be bringing some of my healing frequency bowls, crystals, and we'll be activating ourselves through chanting, toning, and through the water. We're also going to some very, very beautiful sites like Medjugorje, which is a very sacred place of pilgrimage, which actually I went to about 25 years ago. I was very struck by that. And then there's a very, very beautiful waterfall which has incredible negative ions because there's nothing polluting it, and we're going to spend a day there doing some sort of bathing and rituals in the water. So it's going to be quite a magical 5-6 day trip.
I'm so excited for you. And just tell us the dates and let people know we will be doing a much bigger singular broadcast on this. But what are the dates right now?
We're looking at around, so actually there are going to be 2 parts of the trip. It's going to start around the 15th, 16th of June, go through to the solstice of the 21st, actually and through to the 23rd of 22nd, 23rd of June. But there's going to be an add-on earlier on the eastern Croatian coastline, where we're going to go and see some of the ancient sites of ancient Rome and some of the early Venetian sites on the coast of Croatia, and also just enjoy a good time together. So the main part is the Bosnian pyramids with the waterfall and Medjugorje for 5 days around the summer solstice, and then there's going to be a 5-6 day pre-trip for those who are interested in seeing a little bit more of the Balkans and the Croatian coastline.
And such a beautiful, magical part of the world. I'm so decimated in previous wars and genociding of all the people, and there's so many things that we never hear about in America.
You know, it's interesting. You've triggered something positive for me to share, which is obviously you talk about the genocides, and you know you bring this up a lot, and we always get total goosebumps, and we get very emotional. And our mutual friend David Mahoney, of course, it's through him that we met each other together, you know, in Mexico, and I'm always very grateful for the links of how I meet people in this life. It's always rather beautiful. And David has just been to the killing fields in Cambodia, and he sent me a video which he hasn't fully edited yet. And you know, this is a man, David Mahoney. Many of your listeners will know of him. I assume he has a wonderful show, and he's a true patriot of the world, a freedom fighter. And he's a strong, masculine man. You know, he's you know, Marlon Brando-esque, if you like. And yet this man
God, he's gonna love that.
This man is brought to tears. This man is humbled and brought to deep grief. And I got goosebumps just thinking what he shared with me on that video. That so many of those young souls who died in the killing fields, they were young and innocent, and they almost came into experience as a spirit in flesh, having that ghastly murder and cruelty. The cruelty that can exist on this planet is diabolical. And I think this is, again, back to the Pluto and Aquarius, is whether it's David revealing, whether it's Dani revealing, you know, all of us are contributing in some way to an exposure of the toxicity in the system. So, and it relates to the toxicity in our system, meaning our biological system, and the parasites that exist within us on a local level. That we're going to change literally the culture of our body, but we're also going to change the culture of our government. And this is really the majesty of this catatonic moment, when the toxicity oozes to the surface and we have to deal with it. So if we're going to be stuck in an old antiquated belief system, we're going to remain, I never swear, bloody toxic. Where if we actually lean into it and understand that this is our lesson, this is our master, that the evil person's our teacher, and we actually say, no, I'm going to heal, I'm going to witness it, I'm going to alchemize it, and then the new earth is born. And that is the age of Aquarius. And so I love the fact what David Mahoney has done, going to the killing fields, and we're going to go to Croatia and Bosnia, we're going to go to Sarajevo, we're going to see the river at Mostar. I mean, where on the other side, bodies were being kicked around as a football of children. They were severed off the head in the war. This is absolute craziness, but we're witnessing it and we're learning it. We're not going to exist in that fear. We're going to alchemize it, and we're going to create the new earth. And that's exciting. And that's why we're all here.
It's amazing because, again, having lived in America on and off for so many years and knowing how the media control world news, that when we were in Britain and we were seeing the murders and the Kurds and the terrible things that have happened, the genociding, not even to mention Rwanda, and it wasn't being, people, again, God love America. I love America so much. I love America. And I love people. I love humanity, they're good ones. But it's not fair for so many people, because they really haven't even had the thinking to know they've been lied to, that it's been hidden from them. And it's such a shock for them. And we do need to be kind, and we do need to be, thoughtful. And like those that did the medicine, that truly didn't know or felt they had no choice, or the man providing for his family who literally felt, and it's all very well for people to say, oh, well, you had a choice, but you weren't in that person's mind at that moment. We need to be kinder.
We really do. And it's funny, a friend of mine, a wonderful European friend of mine, who's very talented, said to me, we were just talking last night, he says, oh, he doesn't, the Americans are so stupid, they're so gullible. And in one sense, he's right. But you see, what we have to remember is how targeted the American population has been for generations. I mean, we all have, but the America, with the food, the ghastly fast food, with the toxicity in the water. I mean, Flint, Michigan is well known. It's well known about the lead and the arsenic in the water, and that's spread to millions of people. That's just one part of America. The toxicity in the system, you see, has not allowed the American to soar as a spirit. I mean, remember, the real archetype of the America is I'm leaving the old world. Doesn't matter whether it's England, France, Italy, it doesn't matter, anywhere from the old world. And I'm going to forge ahead. I'm going to get on a boat, which may not even get to where I'm meant to be going. And I have $1 or I have nothing in my pocket, and I'm going to start again. That's brave. That's bravery. No one can contest it. That's just a fact. So America's born out of a freedom-loving, courageous archetype. And that is going to be reborn. And it's being reborn around the world. I said this many years ago, many, many years ago. We're at the birthing of a global constitution, similar to the United States Constitution, but it's going to be international this time. None of the nonsense of the UN and the League of Nations, all that absolute claptrap. No piffle. It's going to be properly based on we the people. And that's where I have faith, you see, where some of my European friends just can't quite get that, because they don't feel it. When I'm here, yes, I could be an awful European snob. There's no good opera for me. There's no good art apart from the Metropolitan Museum, which is a total woke, show these days. But at the end of the day, it's the spirit that keeps me to America. It's the potential of belief of moving forward where humanity has a chance. And that's why I'm here.
That's so beautiful. And, mentioning again how America has been so targeted, and the people of the American land, which is every single imaginable color, every single person from every single country. You know, a mistake they make. I mean, the Brits need a kicking too. You know, I'm not standing for, but I don't stand for any country. I stand for love and humanity as a whole, right? But the Brits, at least the Brits, we say people. When in America on the news they say Americans. No, it's not Americans. It's the people that live in America. But there's a program and a brainwashing there. It's a separation, but people don't realize because they're so used to it. And that's all right. But at some point we do start to go, oh, hold on a second. The verbalization they're using is programming me to think a certain way, thus separate myself from my brothers and my sisters of every single nation. I love the words you use, claptrap and piffle. I wanted to point out too that, you know, dear America, beloved America, and the beautiful people that live on those lands, apart from the tosspots, we don't love those. They need to understand that their country that was once a great superpower has been deliberately targeted because those that tried to run the planet decided if they can kneecap and take down America, they can own everything. Ukraine right now is America 0.2. They're trying to own that land, but now I know you're going to get triggered, and that's okay. It is not down to me to give you all the answers. I don't know all the answers, but I do know that it is very curious and suspicious why so much of the money that should be there to help the homeless and the cold and the hungry in America, all of them in the tribes and the reservations, is going to Ukraine. Yeah? A few questions there.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Few
big.
bloody big ones.
Absolutely. And what's lovely is that it's being exposed. I mean, you know, whatever people think, it really is important. This, whatever people think, a billion people did watch the Putin Tucker interview. And so for me, it's not about taking sides. It's about people starting to ask their own questions. And on a positive side, because I want to bring it always back to astrology, because that's why I'm here. Pluto entering Aquarius, which is squaring Uranus and Taurus. What does that mean? Pluto is in a sign which is connected to Aquarius, and then Aquarius is in Taurus. That's a square. Many conversations on frequency, many conversations on electromagnetism. The more, for example, the more electromagnetic charge we have, the healthier we are with our mitochondria, and our mitochondria is of better quality. We're literally, we're powerful batteries, and we need to be charged up with the sun, with the correct water, with the correct food. And this is part of the Great Awakening, is learning this, and hopefully open source, because everything you share is open source. The whole point is we share, we create this civilization. It's like a helix going upwards. Everyone feeds into it. And suddenly we have this amazing law of consistency where everyone's educated and the young know as much as the adults. And, you know, this plasma is electromagnetic, and it's that charge of divine consciousness and divine intelligence that we're going to re-tap into, which the ancients knew, and we were suppressed in our knowledge and became stupid, all of us. And now we're reawakening to these amazing divine connections.
Yeah, so powerfully put. Beautiful. Again, you know, I know, darling, that some of our conversations are triggering, but that's the decision that somebody makes, you know, when they hear us talking, and we're touching on such sensitive issues and long-term historical happenings, and they've been told one thing, or they can't go there, or they can't imagine, or they're American and they're very protective of their beautiful country. I get it. I'm not American, and I'm very protective of America and her lands, and the people that live there, my brothers and my sisters. But it is important that we do have these conversations and we don't shy away from them, you know. And it's funny because me and David Mahoney, as you mentioned, David, I love me a bit of David. I do. He's a cutie pie, good looking man, good, strong, robust. He saved me in the ocean. We were all down in Mexico, as you said, and we were there, me, you, Dr. Christiane. And we did a beautiful observation of Huna Flash. It was his very first burning mask, which I thought was the greatest idea. And it was honoring all of those who'd lost their lives during the COVID-19 era. And it was a beautiful idea that dear Huna Flash had. Hi, Mahuta. And so he invited me and Dr. Christiane to be opening keynote speakers. And well, we knew of each other, but we hadn't met in person, me and Christiane. And we realized, well, just within the first minute of talking, for some reason, we both revealed to each other that we'd lost the love of our lives the same year, within weeks of each other, which was in 2020. And they're instantly bonded deeply, because when you've lost your husband to be in such a violent, brutal way, they both got really sick and died. And it wasn't through the jabbing, just so we're clear. You know, I mean, still to this day, I'm very close with her and love her, and she'll be speaking again at Gsic this year. And we went in the ocean. You were there. You were doing, so Huda Flash was doing his, with his white dragon stick with the crystals, the Andara, and he's doing this beautiful hakama, kora, like, you know, he's beautiful, New Zealand, Kiwi, Maori. Oh, he's just so powerful. And he's a big boy. He's a big boy. And he's beautiful. I love him. I think he's a beautiful being, and he's very, you know, gathered in his experiences and spiritual rituals, and they work for him, and they work for lots of people. And that was my first time meeting him physically, as you. So there you are, down in this little kind of pit area, lighting and firing and saging, and then there's Huna whacking the water with his stick, you know, and it was just very, very powerful and lovely. And then we all slipped over the wall. Where were we? We were on the island of, was it Corazon?
Cozumel.
Cozumel. We were on the island of Cozumel, off Playa de las, because I've been there. Obviously, I've been there more than once and been there with you. Oh my God, we got the ferry across to Cozumel from Playas de las Americas. No.
That's right. Playa del Carmen. Playa del Carmen, something like that. Or
oh my God, how ridiculous! We can't remember what it's called now.
I think it's Playa del Carmen or something like it's near Tulum anyway.
Yeah, near Tulum, and oh my God, it's gone out my head. Anyway, it's there. It's there. So there we are. So I'm in the ocean and I'm swimming, and there's other people around, and then David's right there, and all of a sudden I can feel myself getting pulled out. And I'm a diver, I'm a scuba diver, and I can feel myself getting pulled out. And I was so mad, because I'm, you know, I'm a robust, strong woman. I don't need a man to, you know, like, I was like, David, I'm drowning. And he was so great. He just came swimming over, you know, and just grabbed hold of me in his manly hands and kind of dragged me to safety. I was like, oh, my hero. He was so good. He was so good. But yeah, I do love me a bit of David. If you're in a restaurant, you're going to hear the man. He can't help it. He's just broadcasting all of the time. And, you know, he's the one person out of everyone I've met in the last few years who, if somebody said to me, he's a double agent, I'll totally believe it. But I believe his heart and his soul is good. He's a very clever man. He's very curious about life, about different, well, going to the Cambodia, going to Thailand. He's there right now. Been traveling. He's traveling for another week or so. And, you know, he's created in Spain, I think it's in Marbella, a TV show underground with tons of lucrative, lush cars that aren't all his. And you were there. You were there. I started watching it today. So tell us a bit about David Mahoney's setup there in Marbella.
Well, it's pretty cool. I mean, I don't know how much he likes to share about it. You have to ask him, actually, because I know, but it's a very cool setup. It's called the Bunker, and it's deep underground, you know, and you have to get it's quite a story. And he has some really good people on his show, and it was really fun to be live. I think that's what I really got a kick out of it. I flew from London to stay with him for a few days, and we did a couple of lives together. You know, this is wonderful, and aren't we blessed to be able to use AI in a positive sense, like what we're doing now? But for me, there's nothing better than sitting in situation with someone and chewing the cud, because, you know, the humor is quicker, it's easier, because the energy is more immediate. So I got a lot out of that.
I love it. That's so fun, so fun. You know, the other thing as well for people to recognize is, you know, there are people that get rattled. Like, I rattle people. I don't do it on purpose. I just don't stand, and I don't need to win friends. I'm in too much of a hurry to say to everyone, please, my love, I love you so much. I know this might not be comfortable to hear, but here's some information that you might need to think about or be aware of. And David does the same sometimes. I know, and he does a lot of broadcasting with Charlie Ward. And I've been on Charlie Ward's. I was on Charlie Ward's show last year promoting Gsic, and I found him to be lovely, affable. I know he's been through a lot of health issues. And in the beginning, when people are like on their channel, they're saying, well, you know, Trump this and Trump that. And I have no interest in any of that. I just want humanity to grow and come together and stand in love and all connect, and nobody above another, not one person above another. And if you're that, you're all right by me. But again, we all make mistakes. I've made mistakes on my channel interviewing people who are fake and false, you know, and there are people out there still doing it, you know, still doing it.
But
And they don't.
we've all interacted in our lives with people who are on the other side, and that's part of the learning curve. And there's no wrong. See, again, we find the freedom in accepting that, and we learn from it, and then we get better discernment, and that's part of the life path.
You know, people, Sasha Stone, you know, again, I went down to, where did I go with him recently? Me, Kathy O'Brien, one of the greatest, bravest speakers of all time, bar none. A little girl who was used as a sex toy by the American government, whether you can handle hearing that or not. Read her book, The Transformation of America. I love Kathy O'Brien. I'll stand strong with her all day, every day. There's me, Sasha Stone, Kathy O'Brien, Mel K, Roseanne Barr. I've mentioned this a few times. I hadn't met Roseanne before. I hadn't met Mel K before. And I've met Sasha and Kathy, of course, and had connection with them. And it was so lovely. But, you know, it's funny, I got an itch on my nose when people say, oh, you touch your nose, you're lying. So not lying. But I'll call it out. You know, people, for me, like Sasha now has put out his pharmacology, his New Earth Pharmacy with an F, and he's been working so hard. And when I was in Mexico, not in Mexico, in Vegas with him and Joanne, his beautiful PR for the pharmacy and other things that she does for him. I love Joanne. I was there when it got delivered, when his regeneration products got delivered. I got to hand it to him, and his face made me want to cry. His face was so happy. He's worked so hard on this new, you know, technology, new medicines, and for me, like, he does so much. You know, he does so much for humanity, and for me, it's better. Watch what someone does, not what they say they'll do. You get to know people by their actions, like, really. And you know, he's in, you know, interviewed a few bollock chops on his channel as well. But one thing he doesn't do is drama. You know, I sent him a text the other day. I'm like, oh, kick Ishmael Perez in the balls for me, lol, mean it, you know. But you know, and you know, he doesn't do drama, you know what I mean? But you know, we just got to look out for each other, protect each other, and call out BS when there's BS. But, you know, we're all growing. I think, could you try and turn your volume up a little bit? Will it go up any higher? Because it seems to have dropped down a bit.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, keep talking.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It's up full. I'm sorry if it's dropped off. It could be my internet.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think you're good. I think you're good. I wanted to take a step back to the pyramids, and just state the fact that there are pyramids in every single country on our entire planet, because the pyramids are ancient technology that generated free energy from way back when. What say you to that, sir?
Well, I mean, how exciting for me, because I mean, I went to the pyramids in Georgia, as in southern America, you know, as in the southern part of the southern states, about a year ago, and these are huge. And you could tell I took some water samples, and I took some my bowls, and they were activated there. They still carry a piezoelectric charge, which is different. So yeah, I'm very fascinated with going to more of these places as they become revealed to us. You know, that's again back to Pluto in Aquarius as the revelation of new intel, of new technologies, really, because you know, Aquarius rules technologies. These ancient technologies now coming back into the foreground for us to learn how to manipulate again.
For us to learn how to manipulate again the free energy of our world that was always there. And again, it explodes the legends and the myths of Tartaria, for example. But then again, there are so many Tartarian buildings that are built in ways we can't even get our head around. And you can't do away with that. We're learning that the ancient Indian temples have physical, mechanical ceramics, that wheels turned, parts of the temples moved, and still do. And we're all discovering this new information now more than ever, aren't we?
I mean, it's interesting because I remember years ago I did part of the Silk Route. I went down to Uzbekistan and did the ancient caravan sites of Khiva, Samarkand, Bukhara. Gosh, it was so beautiful. And there were these old towers there, which I could never fully understand. I'm sure they were electromagnetic devices. I'm sure they were originally created. And to me, that really is part of Tartaria. I just feel, as I learn now about Tartaria, of course, when I went there 8 years ago, I thought Tartaria was just a myth, as in not real. But I think some of these ancient towers, and we knew that with the cathedrals before the floods, as in the mud's floods, and the fireplaces, they weren't just for wood. They created a charge down, and then the energy, the heat would come down through the fireplace and heat the house. And we're just beginning to learn this. I mean, I'm a novice at this still, because that's not my wheelhouse. I don't have a background in physics and electrochemistry and stuff, but it is very interesting nonetheless.
In that, as in the heat coming down and then heating the room, and we've got the ancient Roman baths and how there's all these systems. I mean, again, so much has been covered up so other assholes on our planet get to make money and make us pay for the fact that we live on our own planet. Shame on them, and they're getting sorted out. But I remember years hearing a story. This old lady grandma had told her grandchild to always be careful of the blue gas that would come in the thunderstorms. And this little guy, he's like in his 80s when he told this story. He said that this thunderstorm came and him and his grandma were in the living room, and she started looking around herself. And then she said to him, "Quick, hide behind the sofa." So they hid behind the sofa, and he's like, "Why?" She went, "The blue gas is coming." And he said he was peeping round the sofa, looked where the fireplace was, and this little blue gas bubble came down the chimney and out of the fireplace and was wafting around the living room like it was looking for someone. It was conscious. And then it stopped, and then it went back up. No particular rhythm or pattern, went back up. And the grandma said it was looking for us. And there were many people that said that back in the day, the blue gas, it would burn you. It would find you and it would burn you. It would find those supercharged with electricity or whatever, and and conduct through them in quite dangerous ways. So legend, old wives' tale, you guys out there be the judge. You be the judge. Well, let's bring our beautiful chat to somewhat of an end. But please, can you leave us with what we need to look out for astrologically, what you advise us to do or not do, and any particular dates the rest of February that we might have more of a mind to take extra care?
Well, I think the thing is, with right now, the Mars conjunct Pluto, and Mars, is passion, but it can be anger, and it can be, unhinged. So we have to be very mindful of how we're using our energy. And that's why, getting into nature, getting that piezoelectric charge going, charging yourself up in the sun, reconnecting to nature is so important, because it stops you being pulled back into the perceptual matrix of fear. And anything that you hate is, it's teaching you unconditional love. And anything that you fear is teaching you courage. So try and look at it from the opportunity in the challenge as opposed to the victim within the challenge. Anything that you can't control is teaching you how to release. So everything in life is teaching us something. I think that's really the message for today.
Wonderful. And talking of teaching, I'm so excited for you to be launching your online astrology classes. So exciting. And you've done others and you do others. So let's briefly mention those for the seekers out there that want to take classes online with you.
I mean, the thing is, I wish I could teach more sound therapy online, but Zoom deliberately doesn't allow the algorithm. You can't get sound to transmit through the Zoom. That's why I use FaceTime and WhatsApp, because it goes better through that. So, I love working with frequency in all my sound bowls, but with the astrology, it's great because we can just share so much of the information. And then it just gives you a tool. Once you understand your natal chart, you can start to understand how the planets are affecting you. So you have freedom to choose as to how you're going to use Mars to defend wife and family or to go and murder. We have choice how we use the archetypes, right?
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Well, my love, we will see you twice this month today, and we will also
Yes.
see you and your beautiful colleague Nada when she comes with you to talk about the Bosnian pyramids and the trip that you're doing this coming June. It's always a joy and an honor to be with you, my friend. I love you so much, and
Lots of
we'll
love
see
to
you
you.
soon.
Okay, God bless.
God bless. God bless. And to you guys out there, thanks so much for hanging out with George and I. He will be back in March because he is our resident astrologer. And until then, next time we see George, God bless you, God love you, and we'll see you soon.